Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Dice Tower. It is May 24th, 2021. So we're glad to have you with us for Q&A. Next week, there will be two Q&As, and I will be involved in neither of them. So you'll come back and see some other people from the Dice Tower doing some Q&A, so hopefully you enjoy that. Okay, so I like to, I'll just answer questions, and that's what we do here, basically. And maybe a surprise that I'll show about halfway through. Remind me like at 12:25 and say, Tom, you said you'd show it something. All right, so I'll get to it then. Okay, let's see here. Tom, did you back The Way of Kings Kickstarter from Brandon Sanderson? You mean that gorgeous novel thing he did? I didn't. I just don't read a lot of physical books. I thought about it for a long time because I really like Way of Kings. It's my favorite book. Or at least the series is. Book 3 is my favorite. But I don't know. It was really expensive. I don't remember how much it was. I want to say it was The Way of Kings Kickstarter. It was a very 10th anniversary leather-bound edition. And how much was it now? I'm just trying to look here. It was $200 for the signed version. Oh, I guess there was only a $50 version. Oh, that's for the new game. Yeah, no, never mind. For the new book. No, for the signed leather-bound thing, it was $200. That was a lot of money. I wanted to get it, but $200 for some books is, I don't know, maybe it's just me. That was kind of pricey. Let's see here. What am I reading these days? Well, actually, if you watch Board Game Breakfast this morning, I was reading Mind Management, the comics series, or graphic novels. They're not comics, I guess. And other than that, I've just been reading some sci-fi short stories. I remember you mentioning Howard Town was a game that you really enjoyed, and you might enjoy it more with subsequent plays. Have your feelings on it changed since you reviewed it? I like it, but it still hasn't cracked top tier Rosenberg for me. Top tier Rosenberg for me is Le Havre, Caverna, and Feast of Frodon. Those are the three best, like way up there. Howard Town is good, but it's not going to crack that level. Don't forget about the contest. Why, that is awfully nice of you. Let's pull up the information for the contest. Because we're giving a contest. And to enter this contest, all you have to do is email us at contest@dicetower.com. And you just need to put a word in the subject, and I'm going to tell you what that word is. Today is the 24th. That word it's two words, Mayflowers. Mayflowers. And answer the question, what's your favorite flower? Mine is the snapdragon, but also tulips are pretty good. Anyway, so Mayflowers is the subject, and email it to contest@dicetower.com, and we will pick a winner to get a $10 gift certificate from Game Nerds. Game Nerds, a lot of cool games you can get from them, great prices, great selection, and check them out. Let's see here. How do you have the hat collection divided? What percentage at home versus percentage at the studio? Slightly more at the studio, but you got to remember there's different kinds of hats too. So my trilbies, fedoras, and the fancier hats are mostly here at the studio. I keep a couple at home. And all my baseball caps, which is what I wear if I'm just going to run out somewhere, I'll grab a baseball cap. Those are all at home. I don't know if I have maybe but one at the studio here. With the large Dice Tower library now in the house in South Florida, are you doing anything to mitigate moisture humidity? No, the air conditioning does that. That's what our air conditioning units down here do, the central air. If that wasn't the case, then every house here would be in horrific danger of having too much humidity for everything. It works really well. Have you ever been unboxed out after that massive one over the weekend? Well, that kind of satiated my desire to open boxes for a while, for sure. And yeah, sometimes there's just so much. I mean, by the time we were done there, I was just really tired of opening boxes. And we were still doing stuff for another hour plus after that we turned off the video, for sure. And that's not even counting the fact that there's just so much stuff right outside this door that as soon as I'm done with Q&A today, I'm back to work on that stuff. I prefer to read physical books over reading off a screen. I'm still very old. No, it's fine, and I don't see a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'll tell you what, screens just get better and better. Most of the screens nowadays, the Kindle itself is very easy on the eyes. And the iPad's not as good as the Kindle itself, but I've gotten used to it, and it's just useful. And I can make the type as big as I want. And I carry my whole collection with me at any given point. If I'm sitting there going, man, I feel like reading this book, I have it with me. It's fantastic. I get that people like physical books and such. There's nothing wrong with that. But also storage-wise, I like to use my storage for games. So, is the air conditioning working again? Indeed it is. Did you see the Eternals movie trailer? I did not. I'm actually looking forward to that. But I'll wait till this Q&A is over to take a look at it. Who decides what's going into the newsletter? Well, the Tom Thinks part, I write that. And then there are other things. Luke Pryor is our newsletter editor from the UK. Does a fantastic job with that. Have you played more games of Destiny since the review, and do you still like it as much? Well, we just did the review a few days ago. But no, I meant to play it over the weekend, but we were busy unboxing games or something, and there was a lot of other work I had to do over the weekend. I'm probably going to play it tonight. How difficult is it to read or hear people's complaints about the way you have your studio set up? They have nothing to do with it, but okay, well, this is written very negatively. Look, people can say what they want. I don't have a problem with that. I'll admit it was not the most pleasant thing to read, especially since there was two things happening. One where there was people saying it looks like garbage, and then there were other people going, well, it's going to improve, and we're sitting there thinking, well, we worked really hard to make this look as nice as we could. I can't please everybody. I know that. I am a little thrown off sometimes by the people who throw around the term amateurish, because that's what we are. We aren't professionals. I don't have $1,000 an hour people coming in and setting them up. We try to do a good job. But at the same time, the Z and his background went for a very professional look, while my background here, I go for a nerdish look because that's what I like. I like the little Chotsky things I put here because that's what I like. So I make no apologies for that. So, but again, people can criticize. I criticize games. I'm not going to say criticizing that. The only ones that really upset me were in the Facebook group. This is happening for the most part, where people came in and said, yeah, I don't watch a Dice Tower in any way. And I thought, then why are you part of this group? It's a Dice Tower Facebook group. It seems odd to me. Yeah, stuff like that can be frustrating, but you also have to realize that you cannot appeal to everybody. You just can't. We just have to do our best. And that Aesop's fable about the boy and the donkey is so true. Now, if you get vastly, like the vast majority of people have a problem with something, it's worth looking into. Other than that, it comes down to just what people's preferences are. I did not have a really restful weekend. After the big shipment came in, I went home and I collapsed. I was so tired and I was really sore from moving things. But I had a lot of email stuff to do. I did stuff with my kids. I played some games with the kids, and I played some games with them on Sunday too. And we watched a couple movies together. Last night, me and the family watched Little Women. I think it came out in 19. We do some things like that. But the rest of the time, I was just working emails and catching things up. It was a really busy weekend. I was hoping for it to be a little less stressful, and I also recorded a podcast over the weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on. When you get stuck on a difficult puzzle or enemy in a video game, how long do you keep trying before going to the internet for the solution? Somewhere between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. I just don't have patience for it. I'll try, but I don't, if it's, especially puzzles. So, for example, I like Final Fantasy games. Sometimes I get to a certain spots where you need to do a different puzzle, and I was like, I don't even want to do this. I'm only doing this to get a dumb weapon. There's certain things I like in Final Fantasy games. I love the fighting. I love the combats. Even if it's grindy, I just love it. And that stuff I'll do all day long. But if I get to some puzzle, I didn't sign up for this. Show me how to do it. Okay, it's done. Get back to my normal game. Basically, you said breakfast, you like mind management. The art was hard for me too, but if you like Kintz, that's the author's writing, you need to read his work with Valiant Comics. Yeah, maybe I will. I mean, maybe that's a good idea to read his other stuff. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting writing. I was a little confused at points because he jumps around in time a few times, and sometimes the narrator I was trying to figure out who the narrator was at certain points. But, and I'm still not sure I understand everything that happened, but for the most part, I think I got it. Can you explain what you mean when you refer to a lifestyle game, please? Oh, sure. That's a good term to talk about. A lifestyle game is a game that you invest a lot of your life in the sense that you spend a ton of time on one single game. There are different kinds of lifestyle games, like chess. So if you watch The Queen's Gambit, chess was her lifestyle game. She studied it. She worked on it. There are people who do that with chess. Magic the Gathering is a lifestyle game where people put all their energy into collecting cards, playing cards, reading about it. A lot of collectible games are like that. A lot of miniature games are like that. They're lifestyle games where you spend, your hobby is that game. It's not gaming, it's that particular game. And that's why I call them lifestyle games, because they fill up so much of your life. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, it could be, but so could anything. So if I play a game and I'm like, oh, wow, this game has 600 million expansions and all this. Wow, there's a lifestyle game. To get good at this, to work hard at this, I have to put a lot of effort into it. And I don't know that I necessarily want to do it, maybe, but that's why I call them lifestyle games. Will the Dice Tower libraries ever be up for rental by other conventions? Not while I'm alive, likely. I suppose if a convention came to me and said, we would like to rent your library and you, because I have to go with it. That's how strongly I feel about that library. And there would be a lot of assurances put into play. Did you know those boxes would show up Saturday, or did you get a call and scramble for help? I didn't know until Thursday that they were coming on Saturday. I thought it was going to be a much later time than that. I guess I just didn't know the shipper was going to move that fast on them. So then I just told the people, hey, whoever come in. And then the shipper said they'd be there at 8, but they were actually there at 7:45 in the morning, which is fine, but, just a bit of scrambling around. And then, foolishly, I just assumed we could crank the whole thing out in a couple hours. And that was clearly not the case. Who from the Dice Tower crew has the most similar board game taste to you? Maybe Mike DeLisio, although we disagree a lot. I don't know that anyone here has like a super similar taste to me. We all like a lot of the same games, which is great. But I don't know who I would consider myself closest to when it comes to game tastes, which is good. That's what I want. Whatever happened to the game Mousquetaires du Roi? It's never in the top 100 solo game list. Well, I don't know. I guess people stopped playing it. Are there any major differences between Dice Tower East and Dice Tower West other than location? Dice Tower West is bigger than Dice Tower East. But no, Dice Tower, that's pretty much the main. I mean, there's going to be minor differences, and you'll see them if you go to one. There might be one show I do at one, I don't do it the other. But not a ton of differences. If you could give young Tom one piece of advice, what would it be? I don't know what I would give him. I was just thinking about this earlier today. I am glad where my life has turned out to be. And even though there's tough, horrible things that have happened in my life, I believe everything happens for a reason. And I don't know that I would want to avoid some of those because I might be living a worse life than I am now. So the only thing I could do is I'd be like, I'd jump back 4 weeks ago and say this. Then that wouldn't change major things in life yet. Like I might say, I'd go back to December, Tom, and tell him to buy a whole lot of GameSpot stock. But other than that, I wouldn't want to go farther back than that. How do you feel about the Spiel des Jahres in general? Do you think it's still a good representation of each year's games, or has the size of the industry made it just another award? Well, it's not just another award. It definitely has a huge impact. So I am very cautious talking about the Spiel des Jahres because the Spiel des Jahres is as old as I am. It is an award that has nominated great games over the years. I'm not always thrilled with the games they pick. I disagree with some of their choices, like Llama when that was nominated. I don't agree with a lot of things that happened with it, but it's also not my award. I don't think it's just another gaming award. I think it's the most important award in the industry, still, frankly. There's not even a close second. I would like to say Dice Tower Awards, but they're not, right? There's literally no other award that has that, and I don't even know if there's a second award. Maybe the Mensa Select Awards, and I disagree with a lot of how those are put together, but they might have a little bit of sway. Every other award is essentially a logo on a box. Now, my hope for the Dice Tower Awards is that users and people who go out there will say, oh, well, Dice Tower Awards, I know these are good quality games, and that's my goal. But I would be hesitant to say they have any major sway on the industry. The Spiel des Jahres does. Are we going to Gen Con? Yes, we are going to Gen Con. It's kind of a tough swing around because we're doing a Dice Tower retreat, and then the next week is Gen Con. But that's because Gen Con just announced suddenly they were in September. I'm not thrilled about the timing of it, and I know that there's been some issues. Escape WinterCon in Florida is the same week. They got I don't know that there's going to be a lot of people who were planning to go to both anyway, but it still was kind of uncool for them. What can you do? And it was also over Yom Kippur, so there's some people that are not pleased about that. Everyone has their hands tied with this. This whole thing's a big mess, and hopefully next year these things will go away. I have an idea. Scratch and sniff board game. Would you play? Well, there's already at least 2 of them in existence. Curious how much you paid for all those games. Did the seller give you a deal? Well, I'm not going to tell you all because I frankly don't think that's anyone's business. But I want to explain a little bit about that. There's a lot of things that they could have done. They were very generous, I feel, giving them to me. I don't feel like I took them for a ride, but I also don't feel like they cheated me in any way at all. In fact, I think it was incredibly fair. But there's a couple things about it. The price of shipping was about equal to the price of the collection. It was a very expensive thing to ship to here. And the games are going to good places with Dice Tower East and Dice Tower West. Not all of them. We're going to have to cut a lot of them, but that's where they're going. I didn't buy this for any kind of profit making at all. I would like to hopefully recoup my money a little bit, but I'm not trying to make any money off this. It's not a money-making endeavor. Secondly, when something like this happens, it's an overwhelming thing for the people who it's happened to. This is overwhelming me, folks. There is so much out there. I brought in some extra people today just to work on this, to cut this down, to get it sorted out. It's going to take months of work. And that's from somebody who knows about board games. Not knowing about board games, to be able to figure out what goes where, to sell what to who, it's a huge mess. And this is a difficult thing. And so by getting it all in one lot, we made it easier, hopefully, for them in that regard. So again, I really appreciate what they did for us. That is a big deal, and we're going to try to figure out what to do so that we can get these games in other people's hands so that they can play them at our conventions and things like that. But I also know that it's helpful for all that to be gone in one shot. Are you or any of the Dice Tower crews pro sports fans, or any of you following the Heat Bucks NBA playoff series? I don't know. I know that me and Roy are not sports fans because we mentioned, I think Mike might watch sports, maybe. I don't think Z does. So maybe some people do. I didn't even know who was playing in the NBA playoffs. So the Heat are in the playoffs, huh? No one said anything about it at church yesterday. I guess there's not a lot of Heat fans at my church either. I used to hear about the Heat all the time when I taught in school. A lot of the kids followed them, but I haven't heard about them. What's my favorite version of Risk? Risk Legacy. Now that Florida is very loose on the mask rule, do you think Dice Tower East will run this year? You mean in a month and in a week? No. Even if we wanted to, there's no way we could swing that around in 5 weeks. No. So things are looser here in Florida, but in Miami at the very least, there's still masks everywhere. I didn't wear a mask to the grocery store last week because they said we didn't have to, and I'm fully vaccinated, and it still felt a little odd. And I would still say in that store, I went early in the morning, there was maybe 40 people, and maybe 5 people didn't have a mask on. And I was like, oh, am I doing something wrong? But I was following all the rules. I've been doing that since this has begun. We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna take a quick trip with my family next weekend. We'll see when we travel how big of a deal it is. But my whole family's vaccinated. When Marvel United comes in, will you read the X-Men comics? I guess I don't understand that question. There's a lot of them. What X-Men comics? Are you talking about X-Men comics in general? I read most of them, I would say. Hey, Tom, was it a bittersweet going through someone's life collection like that? Yeah, it is, really. It makes you think a lot. Yeah, I mean, the answer to that is just a simple yes. Do you use wireless headphones? Yeah, I do. I use Bose wireless headphones. I have a pair, and I really like them. I think they're fantastic. Noise canceling wireless headphones are fantastic. Is Chris Yee a full-time employee like Z Garcia? Yes, indeed. Have you seen a Portal Games video on the topic of publishers not going to Gen Con? No, I've not. I know that Asmodee dropped out and Paizo and some other big publishers have dropped out. But there's a lot of publishers who are going. There's a lot. I mean, there's a list. I saw lots and lots of people going. Yeah, I don't think Gen Con's going to be as good as it normally is. I don't see how it can be. But I think I'm going to do my best to have a good time when we're there. If you had time for a lifestyle game, which one would you pick? A role-playing game for sure. I like role-playing. I've deliberately cut role-playing out of my life. I would love to get together with a group every week and play role-playing games. It would be very fun. But I have to cut something out, and that's what it is. Random top 5 jelly or jam flavors. Orange marmalade would be on there. I think I like it. Raspberry jam, I really like that. That'd be in the top ones. Boysenberry, I like that one a lot. Probably blackberry. So blackberry, raspberry, boysenberry, orange marmalade, and I really like mint jelly too. Mint. Alrighty. What was the last game that really impressed you with innovation? That would be Destiny's. And it's not because of the app. It's because of how cool the test system was. I really like it. Living in Korea, which games did you find was easiest to teach students that were language independent? I find I run into a lot of text and cards that students do not comprehend. Yeah, and again, that's where I would explain it to them. I would try to pick games that don't have a ton of text on cards, but the point of playing games with kids is to help them learn a little bit of English. I don't have a top 10 list out of my pocket or even to pull out or even to tell you, but I just had to make a call. If I'm going to play a game with kids, I would go look and say how much English is on these cards and look it up. You can find almost everything about every game on Board Game Geek. I'm upset the Dice Tower doesn't spend more time talking about dice towers. What's one thing you miss doing that you don't have the time to do anymore due to content creation or just time in general? I don't know that there's anything I miss doing. I mean, if I really want to do something, I'll do it. That's kind of how I've always felt about everything. With time, you just decide to do something. Yes, we all don't have unlimited time, but so you pick and choose. I don't know. Content creation hasn't really slowed me down. I'm doing content creation instead of my job that I used to do. What's my favorite live-action Disney movie so far? Well, I haven't seen the newest one, Mulan. My girls did. They were not impressed by it, but I didn't see it. They saw it. Probably The Jungle Book. I really liked The Jungle Book. I thought that one was fantastic. So that would be my pick. After reading Mind Management, have you thought about hiding things in backgrounds of videos and newsletters as secret messages? I've done that before, but I'm in no rush to do it again. I took your advice at using small boxes when moving games. Yes, thank you. Any other tips for a moving library game? Make sure you rubber band your boxes if you can. That way they all don't fall apart. Doodle Jump is my lifestyle game. I was showing my kids some Doodle Jump videos. They really like watching that. I've been reading Wheel of Time. Just finished book 3. Oh, good. You got a ways to go. Have you read it? Yes. If so, where would you rank it among other fantasy series you've read? It's in the middle. It's a fascinating series. But wow, I almost feel like telling you to stop now at book 3, although book 4 is a great ending. Yeah, it really drags in the middle. Really drags in the middle. I'm so sorry to tell you that. But I mean, you get through it. It's a grandiose story. The ending wasn't as epic as I had hoped. I mean, it was epic in many ways, but there was a lot of loose storylines that kind of just fizzled out, I thought. But it's good. So I wouldn't, I don't know, Way of the Kings is so much better. What's the biggest improvement you'd like to do with the Dice Tower Library? I'd like to get everything painted in it, which still has a while. Has someone told you they're my #1 fan? Yes, many people have, so I feel like at least one of them can't be true. What's your favorite Final Fantasy game? Final Fantasy Tactics, for sure, but that's a different game. So taking that out of the equation, I'm going to say 7. I keep going back and playing through them, and it's 7. And then you asked, have I played the new Final Fantasy Remake? I started playing it, but I'm really struggling with it because the combat is making no sense to me. I'm just randomly pressing buttons. I'm really struggling with the new combat system. I love the old combat system, and this new one is not working for me. I've actually paused playing the game. It's been a couple months just because I couldn't get into it. In my opinion, what's the best chair for a game table? Church chairs. That's what I looked up on Amazon, and they're really big, really comfortable. How long until all tabletop games become some sort of virtual game? I say 10 years. I would bet you a good chunk of money, that you're wrong. No way. Sure, a lot of games will go virtual, but a lot are not going to. No way. Have you thought about a TikTok channel to grow your brand? Yeah, but I hate TikTok with all my heart. I'd have to find someone who could run it. Maybe someone could explain to me. I just don't like TikTok. But, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it because I'm always trying to grow the brand of the Dice Tower. But I don't think Tom Vasel would be the host. How do you clean a playmat? With a rag and just wipe it down. What game was your first video review? I think my first video review, and I might be wrong, it's my first videos were my first top 100 games. Or one of my top 100 games, not my first one. But my first video review, I think, was Shadows over Camelot expansion, Merlin's Company. I think that was my first one, but I might be wrong. What year was it? I think it was 2000. It was either 2009 or 2010. So a bit ago. How do you describe your job to folks when you meet them for the first time and they ask what you do? Oh, I just say something to the effect of, hey, I review games for a living. And it's like, have you ever seen a movie review and they tell you if a movie's good or not? I do the same thing, but with board games. And then I instantly go off into a sideline about how it's not just playing games all the time. And I'm not hitting all the questions here, folks. I'm jumping around picking ones that I like. What older technology would you like to make a comeback? I guess you need to give me an example of why I would want old technology to come back, I guess. I'm bothered by the big award icons on the covers messing up the original artwork. Well, I get that, but why wouldn't they put that on there to show it off? Maybe a good way for them to do it is they put a sticker on top of the shrink. That's what some companies do, and that way you can get rid of it, but they still advertise it. Anyway, you guys can do some more reviews of the Button Shy wallet games. I don't think I have any right now. I should have gotten Agropolis. I haven't seen that come through the mail. I'll have to check in to see why I haven't got that one yet. Do you feel the rule of not ruining a game for other people gets hazy when it comes to social deduction games? No, I don't think it gets hazy at all. Someone used to pretend to be the spy in Spyfall and it ruined the game. Yeah, someone like that's a jerk. I really dislike when people deliberately ruin games. Like I knew someone one time who they always acted like the traitor in Shadows over Camelot. Why? You're ruining the game. And I know somebody who wouldn't look at their card in Shadows over Camelot. They said, I'm going to play the same way whether I'm the traitor or not. Yes, but if you don't look at your card and you don't give any, then you have no information to give people. So I don't want to play with you then because you're making the game less fun for other people. When your gameplay makes the game less fun for others, then I don't care how much fun you're having, because this would always happen. Someone will do something to ruin the game. Then they're like, this is so much fun. For you only. And you're being super selfish. So get away from my selfish, you selfish person. Go play with other people. I have no tolerance for that. You need to read the group. If all the group wants to be weird and do silly, stupid things, then go ahead, do it, if you're all doing it together. But if no one else does and you're the only one like, look how weird I'm being, yeah, you're being a jerk. You can be a funny jerk. All right. All right, here's what we're gonna do now. I'm gonna pause this just for a bit here because I said I was gonna do this in the middle here. I'm just gonna show you guys a new video. We're gonna start posting these as time goes by. This is, let me make sure I get the name here right. This is a quick video I'm showing you. And where is it? Here it is. Okay, so this is from Fulvio Pisani, and he makes movie trailers of board games. They just look cool. There's no other reason. It's just to look cool and everything. But it's not in English, so we're providing the English voiceover when I say we're. It's Chris Yee. And then we're going to put these on our channel. So just a cool way to look at games, and I think it's pretty neat. They're pretty short, so I'm just going to show you one here. This will be later posted as a separate video, but I thought this would be a cool place to play it first. So have fun.
The law of nature requires a choice of land. An island kissed by the sun where the species have already found fertile ground. To each their own reserve of life and light. The tree releases a small seed on the.
All right, I'm going to pause this for a second because the internet got all wonky there for a second and was making that play slowly. All right, looks like it's better now. We're going to start that over again. See if it runs smoother this time.
The law of nature requires a choice of land. An island kissed by the sun where the species have already found fertile ground. To each their own reserve of life and light. The tree releases a small seed on the ground next to it. The light caresses the land further out, but it is toward the center of the island that the nourishment is best, most precious. Release your seed, make your trees grow, and collect the gifts of the sun that will slowly bring us all more life. But so much greatness brings shade that contrasts with the needs of the trees, those of others as well as our own.
And there you go. That's a bit of it. I don't know where the lag is coming from because it's not an internet lag per se, because you can see me here fine. There's something with the computer that was running it slowly. Doesn't matter. The good news is we're just going to upload the whole thing. So if you want to see these, you can find them at storyboardgame.com. He's the one who creates them, but we're going to be posting them on our channel with the overview. So we have a couple that are done. We'll be posting those later this week, and hopefully you enjoy them. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of, I don't know. Again, I don't know what was jumping there, but we'll figure it out. And like I said, when it's posted on our channel, we won't have a problem. Alrighty, let's jump back to questions here. Jumping through the questions. What's the best kind of soup? Clam chowder. Oh, well, no, I'm sorry, lobster bisque. I mentioned that you reading the X-Men comics when the X-Men United Kickstarter came out because you read all of Mind Management when that game came out. Oh, sure, but I've read thousands probably of Marvel of X-Men comics, so I feel like I'm okay with that one. Looking forward to the November Dice Tower retreat. What do you see as the frequency in a normal year? Like how many times we're going to run a retreat? That I don't know at this point in time. I'm kind of waiting to see. We're going to run one first here in September first and see how that goes and getting them back online. My goal, my plan is to run just one in 2022, but maybe I'll run two if these go really well. A lot of you are saying very, very nice things, and I appreciate it. What? You don't like mint? Mint jam is so good, especially with lamb. It's such a great combo. Brandy vanilla pear jam. Well, that sounds good. You know, I actually don't eat a lot of jelly or jam on bread and toast. I just haven't done so. I just don't do it that often. Lemon curd on scones and biscuits, marmalade on toast. I'd have to try it at some point. What's my favorite dice tower in my collection? I have a lot. I actually culled a lot of dice towers in this move. It's probably, this one's pretty close. I really like this one with the Infinity Dice Gauntlet. It's a nice plastic dice tower. So that's one of them. I have a nice Wormwood dice tower I really like. What's my favorite series of Marvel Comics? Well, Civil War. But you said, or second favorite. Actually, it's not Civil War. Civil War is my second. My favorite is Age of Apocalypse. I really like Age of Apocalypse. So those two are in there. The Last Hunt, I think, from Spider-Man is good. I like that one. These are, I'm mentioning these in no order. X-Men, whatever it was called, When Hope Was Born. That was really good. Really good. And When She Came Back. Both those back-to-back. I really like those. Infinity Gauntlet, I liked a lot. And Infinity War. Infinity Crusade. Oh, World War Hulk. I really liked World War Hulk. That was a very enjoyable series. Best live-action Disney movie, Pirates of the Caribbean? No, that's not what that means. We're talking about what I know what they meant when they asked the question. They meant live-action movie made from a cartoon originally. Otherwise, it's the Marvel movies are the best live-action stuff. That's called willfully misunderstanding the question. I've never done that. Worst board game box style, tins. I hate tins. Let's see here. A lot of questions here. A lot of times people ask questions. They, if you have a question about different games and what's this you recommend, I really recommend you go to our Dice Tower Facebook group. A lot of people will answer questions like that. Do you have the problem of losing a game piece? Well, that happens occasionally. We try to replace them as soon as I find out they're missing. Let's see here. Let's see. Looking for a good question here. There's an app for Final Fantasy Tactics. I do know that. I played it many, many times. There's also an app for Final Fantasy VII, I think. And Final Fantasy IX. And I guess 8, if 9's in there. Why do you always wear a tie? No, I don't always wear a tie, but I like to wear ties for a couple reasons. I think that they bring a little bit of, they're just something I like wearing. But the main reason I wear ties is because I wear a different shirt every day of my life practically. I have a shirt color, and then I put a tie on it. So instead of having 2,000 t-shirts, I have hundreds of ties. Mix them with different shirts and different suspender combinations and different hats. Do they all match? Not always. I mean, I try to make them match a little bit more some days, but obviously not today. I just don't mind wearing them. Yes, they restrict up here a little bit. That's how ties are, but that also keeps me sharp and awake. And very rarely do I walk around and people go, I don't like that. I get a lot of comments. I go, people like your tie. It's a different, it's a style. I'm not copying anybody else that way, but mostly because I just like the different colors and the splash that they provide. Alrighty. What animal would you like to have as a pet in Mini? Very small, not plastic game Mini version. An elephant. Little elephant running around. That'd be fun. Maybe a rhino, because I wouldn't be afraid of a little rhino. He'd like charge at me, and I'd be like, how cute is that? That rhino just charged at me again. Oh no, he hurt my ankle. Let's see here. Tattoos. I think we're still waiting till COVID calms down a little bit more. I mean, we're going to do it. I'm not dragging that on purpose, but we want to be able to film it and do some stuff with it. So we want to wait. Hopefully, I would like to do the whole thing without masks if that's possible. Wouldn't you like to see my horrified grimaces as I do it? So that's kind of what we're waiting on at the moment. Do you plan to open a board game store or library in the future? No, I do not. People are talking, okay, I'm caught up to the thing here. Tom, app games. Are they video games with components or tabletop games with augmentation? No, they're board games. Just because it uses an app for parts of it, I don't understand how that's any different than if a game comes with a deck of cards or a book. So, for example, Tales of Arabian Night has a book that you look through that book and you read stories from it based on what number you're supposed to find. Multiple games do that. We don't call those, well, that's really a book with a board game. No. So same thing. If I have a board game and it's using the app to do a lot of the random stuff for me, then it's a board game. I'm playing at a table with other people around a board. But also at the same time, who cares? You know, and I think some people want to call it a video game because they want to kind of to disdain it. I'm getting a little tired of this sort of thing. If you don't like games with apps, that's fantastic. But you're starting to sound like the joke people make about vegans. You know, whereas how do you know if someone's a vegan? They tell you, right? You don't have to. And I feel that's the same way. How do I know if someone doesn't like apps for a board game? They'll tell me. I don't have to ask them. You know, they come on, by the way, I don't like apps and board games. Okay, cool, I got it. Now go away. If you don't like apps and board games, that's not a problem. We're not judging you, but for goodness sake, can we play them? It's amazing. It's amazing to me about that. Let's see here. We're not doing 3D printing at the studio right now. It just becomes a very, very low priority. Our 3D printer also broke, so no one knows how to fix it. So that's the main reason. Like, nobody knows how to fix it. So I need to, like, go on Craigslist or something. I don't know. I don't want to have to send it in to a place to get it fixed. I'd like to get a repairman here in Miami, but it's low my thing. What are other aspects of working at Dice Tower that people don't know? Again, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes. There's a lot of things. Like, for example, at the Dice Tower, someone has to empty the garbage every day. You know, we're constantly running out of room in our recycling bins because of all the cardboard boxes that come through here. You know, these are things that people don't think about. Shoots and marbles. I spent 3 to 4 hours putting together the new intros for the marbles that are coming out tomorrow. It doesn't seem like it would take a long time, but it really does. And then when it was done, I had to make a little Word document and slide all the pictures in so I could remember which marbles are in which league. That's all stuff behind the scenes that we do that people don't see. Haven't heard anything about Dice Tower Cruise. Any updates? I don't know what you mean, but if you mean you didn't know it was open, the registration for Dice Tower Cruise is open right now, and rooms are selling fast. DicetowerCruise.com. What is your reading style? Do you read until the end of the chapter or stop midway if you get tired? As soon as I'm tired, I stop. I mean, occasionally I'll be in something so exciting, I'll read longer than I mean to. Like if I'm sitting there reading, I'll be like, hang on, let me finish this. But for the most part, for me, I'm very fortunate in that regard. I can stop reading at the end of any sentence and just jump back in later on. I might have to go back and catch up, but I read really fast, so it's not a problem. By the way, thank you again. There's a lot of nice comments in here, and I'm trying not to fish for them. So please don't take anything I'm saying to fish for comments. But I do appreciate that people are saying very nice things. Tell me, I know you're a hot sauce guy. Have you ever grown your own peppers and made your own? We've grown our own peppers. My daughters have grown peppers, but we never made our own hot sauce. Again, it's just something I don't have a desire to do. I'm really happy with other people's hot sauce, and there's so many of them. Do you still have the big giant dice tower used at conventions? I do still have that big giant dice tower. It's been hidden and packed away. But recently, we were able to get all of our convention stuff. We brought it down here, and I have that tower now. Maybe I'll do something with that on a video sometime. I don't make key lime pie, so I can't tell you. I eat other people's key lime pies. Did you ever open the 2 magic packs from the estate unboxing? I did not. Did I finish Thunderbolts? I did finish Thunderbolts. It was good. It kind of got... I enjoyed the first half more than the second half. It got a little hazy there. They were starting to stretch things out. Also, I think the Thunderbolts thing would have worked a whole lot better if the Avengers came back later. Like, the Avengers were back within a year. It wasn't very long. And so there was no cool build-up to everything that went down. I mean, I know why it happened, because they moved the Marvel stuff to its own separate universe type thing, the Avengers and Fantastic Four, and that bombed big time, so they brought them back. But it seemed like they did it too fast. You love Legacy of Dragonholt, but don't find any other story games. Is it that unique? There is not too many story games. I mean, you might like the new Plaid Hat Pirate game has a lot of story in it. There's a lot of story in Tales of Arabian Nights, although that's a very disjointed story. I mean, Legacy of Dragonholt's a very straightforward story. You'll probably like Destinies. There's a lot of story in that. I want a dice tower, but my neighbor shattered my last one into 1,000,000 pieces, so I need to balance cost with durability. Yes, I won't argue that these will break if you throw them or even drop them, maybe, but 1,000,000 pieces? I don't think they're that bad. What is your method to decide which games go in the libraries? It is a straight up Tom Vasel decides. This is one of those things on the Dice Tower channel I have 100% authority on, and I just use my gut instincts. How many pizzas have you sent to Mr. Bonker's house? No, I'm not doing that. That would be a waste of money, frankly, right? When he sent donuts here, I did not eat them, but other people did eat them. So there's that. Why suspenders over belts? Because I don't like something clenching my waist. I hate the way belts feel. Suspenders are much more comfortable for me. The tie makes you look professional. Well, there's going to be some arguments there. People, I don't. There's like a whole thing about these funny ties and stuff that I wear don't make you look professional. I've always been mind boggled by that. Like all these business people, everyone, they always wear the most boring ties, like really boring ties, and no one ever wears that. Every time where I go, people are like, I like that tie. I'm like, then why don't more people wear these? Oh, but you look like people won't take you seriously with that tie on. All right. All right. What's my favorite vacation destination? Oh, man. So if I was my wife and we could go anywhere in the world, no kids, just us, Malaysia, that's where we would go. I mean, money not being a cost, because going to Malaysia is pretty expensive to fly there anyway. But, man, I would love to go there. Yeah, Executioner Song was a good comic series. I agree. Container shipping prices seem to be skyrocketing this year. Do you think that will cause a shortage in supply, inflated MSRPs, or both? Yes, both. Probably. Will Port Royale show up in 5 more great games? I thought it was higher in your top games list. Well, I mean, honestly, by the time I get down into the, when I go through 100 to 500, it's hard to rank them, right? And I'm moving stuff around all the time in there. I'm sure it's on this list somewhere. Well, I think it's in my top 350 games because I have them all ranked. I don't have them alphabetized. I have them listed here from 1 to 350. So I'm going through. I'm going to spoil it for you and tell you where it is on my list. All right. Now I'm just going to do a search because that's what I should have did to begin with. Find port. Where are you? Now it's part of Sports Clicks. Huh. Well, I think you found one that somehow isn't on my list at all. Well, we'll have to add it in there and see where it lines up. Astonishing X-Men's pretty good. I like that too. I really enjoyed Astonishing X-Men a lot. Got a little hazy near the end. I like a lot of these things too, but it was good. Tattoos are dumb. Cost a bit to put on, very expensive to remove. Well, sure. That's why I would assume that if you put one on, you would think very carefully about it. I've thought about it for about 20 years. I feel like that's enough time. What weird food combinations do you really enjoy? Well, corn and budae-jjigae, because no one else does that in the world, probably. Let's see here. The more games I play, the less likely I am to give a game a second chance if I don't like it. Do you have a similar experience? I agree. Do you think that's a good or a bad thing? I think it's fine, right? Again, I don't feel like you should. I mean, if you bought the game, then I might consider giving it more of an effort because it's your money. If it's not your money and you play a game that someone else has, let's say your friend comes over, he's like, here, let's play Billy Bob Goes South. And you play Billy Bob Goes South, and it's a really boring game, and you're like, I don't want to play this again. And he's like, well, maybe we give it another chance. You're like, well, you give it another chance, friend. But for me, why waste my time playing something I know I'm not going to like? Do you think with a game like Destiny is coming out, does it bode poorly for the new Descent? The Descent's got to have miniatures and everything else. We'll see. That this Descent has so much hurdles to overcome. It has the hurdles to overcome of all these other Kickstarter games that have been working on this, and they've done great apps in the past. Manchester of Madness has a great app, so we'll have to wait and see. Alrighty, folks. Well, that's about it for now. I'll get to more questions in the future, but for now, I need to go sort out several hundred games. So we'll talk to y'all later. We're going to be live tomorrow morning playing a board game. That will be at 10 o'clock. So come and join us for that. And yeah, and we got other reviews going up. Chris just put out a new video, Chris Yee. So go check that one out. Until next time, though, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.